All right. Hello. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Survivor Speaks with Keesha Carter. I'm super excited to be here with you all. Oh, man, y'all are in for a treat. I got my sisters with me. Hey, got my sisters with me tonight, y'all. I'm so excited. So, before we get started, I want to make sure that you all share this. So if my panelists, everybody who is popping in, popping out, make sure you share. If you're watching the replay, make sure you are sharing this out. This is being recorded live on Facebook and YouTube. So you make sure you share it out to all of your social media pages. I am Keesha Carter, the CEO and founder of Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom. We want you to stay connected. This month is almost over, and there have been so many amazing things taking place all across the United States for cervical cancer awareness. Oh, and we have some phenomenal ladies who are doing the work, who is advocating, sharing their stories, and doing a lot of things for their communities. And can't wait to introduce you to them. But before I do that, share, like, all of that good stuff. Make sure you visit our website, SCAWinc.org is at the bottom of the screen. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at SCAWinc. And on YouTube, it's SCAWinc Live. Okay. So that's youtube.com/SCAWinc Live. Okay. So let's get this party started. We have, let's see, our first survivor. We have, okay. Our first survivor I'm bringing up to the stage is Miss Florine Dian. Miss Florine, where are you at? Are you there? You ready?
Yes, I am ready. Blessings and love, everyone. Blessings and love. Thank you so much for having me. I just wanted to share a short story of being diagnosed with cervical cancer, not knowing it was cancer, but having bleeding, heavy bleeding. But praise God, by the time I did find a doctor, find health insurance, that I was 1 point from terminal. But man says one thing, but God says another thing. And I give all the praise and honor to God for not only healing me, but for restoring me. Yes, I do have a lot of long-term side effects and long-term issues, but I'm claiming the victory, and I'm still here today, standing on his promise that he'll never leave me and forsake me. But cervical cancer is a hard battle. It's a lonely battle sometimes. But I thank God for this platform. I thank God for beautiful people like Keesha that I have met through going to a retreat, and that we all come together. And cancer is cancer, no matter what the name of it is. And we all have to learn, advocate, talk, speak, and don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of the diagnosis. Don't be ashamed of going through the process for healing. Don't be ashamed of where you come from with it, no matter what it is.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm grateful for you saying that, not to be ashamed, because that's something that we find a lot, right? A lot of
Yeah.
babies are ashamed. So tell us again, where are you from? What what stage were you diagnosed, and you know, when were you diagnosed? Are you still battling cancer, or are you, what kind of treatment you had?
Okay. I was diagnosed at stage 2. Um, I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Right now, I'm living in West Palm Beach, Florida area, where I retire. And now I'm a nanny, granny, housekeeper, babysitter, transportation specialist for my grandson who's autistic. So I have life. I have to get up. I have to do things. But
Mhm.
I was diagnosed from, having bleeding. I actually thought I was just changing life. My body was just going through some type of change. Come to find out, my niece had told me, she said, Auntie, you need to go to a doctor and check it out. So when I went, they sent me to a GYN oncologist. By the time
Mm,
I received and had health insurance, I was 1 point from terminal. And so they did the
mm,
radiation treatment, internal, external. They did chemo. And it was a long, drawn out
mm,
process, especially for 30 radiation treatments, 10 internal radiation treatment, which is an all day thing. And then the
mhm,
chemo, which after the chemo is a good drug to kill the good and the bad cells within you, but
mhm.
also chemo is just so harsh to your body. But I thank goodness for a doctor that told me as soon as I was diagnosed, he told me to start eating properly, to start thinking well, to start exercising, to drink a gallon of water a day, to flush my system. He gave me some good advice, which I still keep today.
Oh wow. Well,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so grateful for you, and I'm thankful for you joining us today
Thank you
as
for having me.
an advocate. You're a speaker, and I'm just grateful for all that you do for the cervical cancer community. So I'm gonna come back to you. I'm gonna bring you
Okay,
back.
I'll be here.
So we're going to go to our next survivor, Miss Gwen. Where is Miss Gwen? Are you there, Miss Gwen?
I'm here. How
Hey,
you
Miss
doing?
Gwen. Good. How are you?
Doing great.
Well, I'm thankful for you being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, where you're from, all of that good stuff.
My name is Gwen Jackson. I am from Houston, Texas. Um, I am a mother of two, a grandmother of two, and I have a grandbaby on the way any day now. And I have a bonus grandbaby too that's from a
Oh,
previous marriage. And so yeah, I have her and hey, just thriving with cancer now.
wow. You're
Yes.
thriving with cancer now.
Yeah,
So you were
thrive.
diagnosed. When were you diagnosed? What
I
stage?
never forget when you was diagnosed. I was diagnosed
Mhm.
on November 17, 2020.
Wow.
November the 17, 2020. Yes. During COVID, in the middle of COVID, I was diagnosed. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
During
So
COVID.
yes. So unfortunately, well, I won't say unfortunately because I'm blessed to still be here because 3 years ago the doctor gave me 16 months to live, and I'm 3 years, 3 years still here. So yes,
Yes.
I'm fit. I just had a birthday on January 24th, and
Yes.
I'm feeling great. So
And
yes,
you look great.
yes, and I feel great. I'm on some good steroids, and I feel great.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, feeling great. And I'm great to be here. I done had 3 strokes and 2 heart attacks, and I'm a living testimony. Yeah,
Wow. And
it's good
you
to
are,
be here.
she's thriving, y'all. So um
Yes.
I'm so grateful to have you as one of our guests, and I look forward to hearing more from you today as we share for this panel discussion. So I'm going to bring. What happened? Hold on. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to bring our next panelist up. Thank you, Miss Gwen. And so now we're going to hear from Miss Jane. Jane, are you
Hi,
there?
I'm
Hey,
here.
sis.
Hi.
Hello, hello. I'm a little slow with getting the names up, but y'all bear with me. Okay, tell us a little bit about yourself, Jane.
Oh, well, girl. Well, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, by way of Texas. I was born and raised in Texas, so I'm glad to see another Texas girl on here. But I was diagnosed in 2011. And I actually was diagnosed in ICU. I ended up in the ICU at the hospital after hemorrhaging for 4 days. And I thought it was kind of a menopausal thing. So I didn't really take it too seriously until I got to the point where I literally passed out and had to be rushed to the hospital. And they found a tumor that was over 10 centimeters. And I was diagnosed at 2B, and I had 36 rounds of radiation, external radiation, and I had 6 chemo treatments. I was in the hospital for a week doing internal radiation. And then after that, they actually were able to do a hysterectomy. So I became cancer-free in August of 2011. And I am super grateful to be here because I almost didn't make it, probably due more to blood loss than anything else. I had 17 units of blood. So my husband always jokes and says that I actually have no more Texas blood in me, which I don't think that's possible, but you never know. I didn't wake up doing any kind of weird things, but yes, I am so grateful to be here, and just the relationships that you make, like meeting you years ago and just being involved with so many wonderful people. It's been a true blessing, and God certainly was at the top of my team, and I'm grateful to be here.
Yes, well, I'm grateful to have you as one of our
Thank you.
panelists. And
Thank
so we
you.
have one more panelist to introduce. Some wonderful ladies, y'all. Y'all are in for a treat. We have our final panelists for tonight, or today, I should say. And Miss Lindsay, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, girl, what's going
Hey,
on?
girl.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh,
What? Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I am Lindsay Gullatte-Lee, and I am a stage 3C survivor. I was diagnosed in November of 2022 and was declared NED, which is no evidence of disease, as of April of 2023. I went through 45 rounds of external radiation. My journey started with blood. I had 6 rounds of cisplatin chemotherapy and 5 rounds of internal radiation known as brachytherapy.
Wow. And so right now, are you finished with treatment?
Yes, ma'am. I finished treatment as of January of 2023 and was declared NED as of April of 2023.
Awesome. Listen, y'all. So we not talking with some people who heard about this stuff. We're talking about some ladies who have lived it and are living it right now. So thank you so much, sis, for your introduction. Now I'm gonna bring everybody on. So you hang tight, Lindsay. Let me see. There we go. Let's bring everybody on. Miss Florine. There's Gwen and Jane. Okay, everybody there?
Yep, we're here.
All right. So, ladies, this panel discussion was created to gather cervical cancer survivors and thrivers together to present valuable insights for our communities and garner support for others facing similar challenges that we have faced. And so, as panelists, you know, I'm excited to hear your thoughts about some of the different things that we have faced from diagnosis through treatment, through what I like to call life after cancer. Because once you've been diagnosed, that's when you begin that life after cancer, right?
Right.
There is different things that we face. So we're going to first start off. I want to ask you, I'm going to go through, ask some questions in the audience. If you are listening, please say hey. Looks like we had a comment I didn't see. But if you are visiting us, I see Cherish. Hey, Cherish. I don't know if you're still there, but hey, girl. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat. We'll come to it. And make sure you are liking and sharing this post so that the ladies and even men who come across this will get the information they need that can potentially change or save someone's life. All right. So question, ladies, and we can do go in order. Each person can go, or you can just do popcorn style. Let's first talk about diagnosis and our initial reaction. So who wants to tell us first, how did you feel when you first received the diagnosis, and how did you navigate through those emotions? And the reason why I'm asking that, because a lot of times people have different emotions and they feel like they're the only ones. Some people don't realize that this is a normal part of the process. It's not what happened. It's not the emotion that you feel. It's what you do with those emotions, right? So who would like to go first and share your experience of when you were first diagnosed and how you navigated through those emotions? Or I can call you all. Go in order as we just were introduced. It's up to y'all. Let's see. Uh-oh. Did we miss somebody? Okay. Miss Florine, I'm going to start with you.
I was numb. I thought death because, first of all, when you're living your life and having the time of your life, you actually don't think about your health is on the downside of the hill that you're going down. I never heard of nobody in our family having cervical cancer. I didn't even know nothing about cervical cancer. So I was in the dark. I was blind to the fact. So it did take me for a loop, a ugly loop, which then I thought death, contemplated suicide because I actually didn't know what to do, how to do it. And it was just weird. I felt I was in the world by myself. And between the doctors and the nurses talking to them, that's who was able to help me to navigate what to do, how to do, what to go about doing, and talking to me because I didn't have any type of support. And I didn't know anyone within my family or in life that had cervical cancer. So it takes you for a loop. It takes you and throw you out in left field where you remember, just like you said, Miss Gwen, every detail, the date, the time, where you at, what you was doing, what you had on, and because it's just a shock. It puts you in a ringer, and you don't even see a future. You don't see a future. Just like you, Miss Jane, being in the hospital, I thought the same thing, that I was just going through the change of life. I would be all right. And then by the time to be diagnosed and then actually getting health insurance, my cancer started growing and increase because it just got worse and worse instead of better. And so by the time it was time to get treatment, here I'm 1 point from terminal, which they tell you, okay, well, you have a certain amount of time to live. So now you're putting a death sentence on me. So instead of going through the process of you killing me anyway, using me as a guinea pig to die, I might as well go ahead and take my life and just be done with it. So it's really a shame that, we as women that, are thrown in that ring to fight for our life, that we have to figure it out and try to find the support, find the system, find the people that not only will help us, but encourage us and will tell us what to do, how to do it. And I have a community of people, women that is standing, that have been in that gap, and like can help you and encourage you and strengthen you. You know, I don't internal radiation treatment, you're going to make it. But then to be in a community of different areas where you're in that gap, helping, encouraging, going through the treatment, going through the radiation, have to go to chemo tomorrow. And then so many people dropping because they're not listening to what the doctor tell them, their body is not able to take it, and they just can't make it. And then their spouse, their children, their family, their world. It's just a hard pill to swallow, and it's a hard life to be able to juggle.
Yeah. So what was it that turned it around for you? So you went from, you still here, you didn't commit suicide, which I'm thankful and grateful for. What changed your mind, and how did you navigate through those emotions?
I went to a prayer service. My mother loved this gentleman. His name is Byron Smith from out of Rochester. And he pulled me out and said, you shall live and not die. You want to be known all around the world.
Wow.
Now, excuse my expression. I'm like a little Black woman from the ghetto. How am I going to be known around the world? Well, I have friends, cervical cancer, breast cancer, people from around the world that I minister to, that I talk to, that I pray with, that my list goes on and on and on. Help them, guide them, strengthen them through patient resources, through platforms like this. And that, and to continue to live and not die. And a lot of times, I'm just going to say this, a lot of times we as women, when we going through this, we don't know that we're going to make it. We have to fight. You have been through strokes, sis. You have been through heart attacks. They told you you wasn't going to, you probably thought some days you wasn't going to make it. Some days coming in from chemo and the internal radiation that took all day. I couldn't even lay in my bed. Why? Because I didn't have no more sheets to lay on from up and from it coming from both ends all the time. Nobody to take care of me. Yes, the family member, somebody will pick me up and take me to the hospital, drop me off. By the time I'm in the bathroom, cleaning myself up, throwing underwear away because pads away, depends away, trying to keep myself up together.
Right.
And have to go back home to that dark house by myself again to try to stand tall, to try to stand firm. Yeah. And we have to be able to stand up and tell the next woman that is standing at the doctor's office and the doctor just told them, you know what? If he did it for me, he can do it for you. Yes. But there are things sometimes that we as women have to do. We have to learn how to put our health number one. We take care of everybody else but ourselves. Yeah. We have to learn how to put ourselves from the back burner to the front burner. Not only eat healthy, think healthy, be healthy. Start trying to exercise, watching what we eat, watching where we're going, watching even the toxin people and the toxin world that we live in. Stop taking all that in.
Right.
Learn how to let go and let God in our life.
Whew. Boy, I'm ready. Like, I just wish we were like in person, because I feel this powerful energy around me right now. Like, I just want to hug y'all.
Yes, that was powerful.
Oh my gosh. So yes. Thank you for sharing. And as y'all can hear and see, this is bringing back memories for us all, right? So as you share your story, other people are reliving what they endured. So y'all, if you're watching this, please share some love to these ladies, because it is not easy doing this. For one, it's not easy sharing your stories, but it's also challenging to relive it. Over time, it gets easier and easier, but it's not easy. Ms. Gwen, I don't know if you are available, because I know you're emotional, and rightfully so. If you will share, how did you feel when you first received that diagnosis, and how did you navigate through those initial emotions?
I guess because I lost my father to cancer. I was a father, I was a daddy's girl, and I was already running a nonprofit organization taking care of cancer individuals.
Mhm.
And for some reason, I thought I was exempt
Mm.
because I was doing good deeds.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So I don't know. I just thought, like, God, what did I do wrong?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like I don't know. I thought I did something wrong.
Mm.
So
Right.
it was a pastor told me, and it was a pastor told me, did you ever think it was something you did right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, sometimes it's like Job. It's because of things we did right, and it's because he can trust us.
Mm.
Yes.
And that's when my thinking changed, because I was like you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, if you're gonna take me now.
Mm.
I don't want to go through what my dad went through.
Mm.
Anyway, I was like, that's why I was just so crying, because I felt like I was like you was just telling my story. I was like, you know what? I sat on the porch, I'm on my patio, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to go through this. I
Right.
don't want to, it was a lot. It was a lot to sign up for. I didn't want
Mm.
to be a superhero. I didn't want to be, how they was like, be strong. All the shirts everybody was giving me was like, fight, all this. Some days I didn't want to fight.
Right.
It
Right.
was
Mm-hmm.
Right.
to fight, and I didn't want to be strong. Some days, I just wanted to go to my mother's house and crawl in her bed.
Mm.
That little girl, that 2-year-old little girl, and just say, hey, I need it, And my mother would call every morning, and she would say, and it's so funny because even at my age, her voice would comfort me. She kept saying, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be okay, okay?
Yeah.
Mm.
And then the person that I needed the most, because I knew understood,
Mm-hmm.
was my father.
Mm.
He
Jesus.
went through the battle, and I felt so bad because it was a point when he was fighting cancer. I was like, come on, Dad, get up. Come on, you gotta eat. Come on, button your pants. And now I can't button my pants.
Mm.
Get my pants. Some days I don't want to get up. So now
Mm.
it runs back through my head, and I think
Mm-hmm.
about how he was feeling and how
Yeah.
we understand
Mm-hmm.
and how we, some people sometimes your family don't get it.
Mm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Sometimes, they went, and I know they love us.
Yeah.
It's a lot on everybody.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot. It is a lot on everybody. And sometimes, even as our caregivers are watching us go through this, some of them feel helpless and they don't know how to navigate their own emotions or navigate through their own feelings. And so sometimes, as patients, we don't always have patience with our caregivers
So,
because we are thinking about, gosh, what we're going through. Sometimes we don't realize how it's impacting those who love us so much and who wants to see us thriving and being here. So wow, y'all.
yeah, my daughter said I was mean.
Did she?
Yeah, because I think I was mean because she was just trying to be my daughter. She was trying to be my voice, and I was feeling like she was trying to take my voice too soon.
Oh.
Mm,
So yeah.
wow.
Hmm.
We're gonna have to dig deep in that one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think, like I said, people don't realize the impact of the family dynamics. Some people leave home, leave their spouses, leave best friends, leave, and all of that. And I think it's because they don't know how to deal with the emotions. Some people have a hard time even seeing us go through it.
Right. Right.
So, wow. Well, let's get back to this question because y'all, it's so easy for us to veer off. We got so many questions I want to ask y'all before we leave today, but I think we may, if y'all are down for it, we may do a part 2. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think later. All right. So, Miss Jane, what about you? How did
Oof.
you feel when you first received a diagnosis, and how did you navigate through your emotions?
Well, I since I woke up, I was in ICU, and the surgeon is sitting beside me to tell me that I have cervical cancer. And
Mhm.
it's kind of like a surreal experience almost, I mean, especially because enough time has gone by now that I look back on that and it's like, I know it happened to me, but it's almost like it happened to someone else. And I was a little surprised, but honestly, when I kind of became more conscious of like what was really going on,
Mhm.
I was really kind of shocked because I have been a holistic health practitioner for well over 25 years. I have a PhD in holistic health. And I was like, how did this happen to me? Like, me? I've got
Mm.
cancer? What? And to follow up with something that Florine said that I think is really, really important is I had to take a really hard look at what my contribution was to this. And I think a lot of people start to question, like, well, how did this happen? Why did this
Mhm.
happen?
Mhm.
And I didn't really know much about cervical cancer, back that long ago. And when I started discovering some of the things that were triggers, I really had to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, does this apply to you? And it did.
Mhm.
And it, people don't catch cancer, and especially with cervical cancer being caused by a virus that 90% of the population has. Um, there are things, though, that contribute to it actually showing up and manifesting in your body and not clearing out like it does in most cases. So it was important enough to me that I wanted to make that a mission for me to help other women not go through what I had to go through, because as we all know, it is very, very difficult. And there are so many things which you've already kind of alluded to that it involves. I mean, having cancer is not like having the flu where it just goes away and then you're just fine. It does
Mhm.
affect your family dynamics. I mean, we had my husband's sister living next door to us who never did anything to help. And I was very, very, did not do well with treatment at all. And I had to have someone drive me to the hospital every day. And I couldn't, I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink. I couldn't do anything. I mean, I
Mhm.
was so sick, and she literally did nothing, nothing. And we had 2 teenage boys. My husband was taking care of my dad, my kids,
Mhm.
doing a business. And I asked her later on, and she said, I just couldn't stand to see you in that situation. It was too hard for me.
Mhm.
So, family dynamics is certainly a big part. And then, you have the financial things. And then, after treatment, then you have the side effects that, yeah,
Mhm.
12, 13 years later, they're still there,
Mhm.
and they always will be there. And so, it's challenging to handle some of those emotions in the beginning, but I think when you have a community like this where you have other women who have gone through what you've gone through, no one can ever understand
Mhm.
what you've gone through unless you've been there and done it.
Right.
And so being able to have women like this to talk about it, and then you hear somebody say, "Oh, I had that happen," and you're like, "Oh, I had that happen too." So
Yes.
you know that it's okay that, you know, you just have somebody to talk to and connect with. And so I think that that's really important to help deal with the emotion, because I know my oncology team was focused on one thing and one thing only, and that was getting rid of the tumor. They weren't necessarily as concerned with my emotion, that, like, I cried all the time. Okay. I'm a crybaby. So they didn't know how to deal with that. Right. They were like, get the social worker in here. We don't know what to do. So, I had a difficult time emotionally, you know, but I think after, you know, time and connection and staying in a community, it really makes a difference.
That is so true. It helped me. Certainly helped me. Yeah, I can relate to everything y'all are saying on so many levels. What about you, Lindsay? Thank you, ladies. How did you feel when you first were diagnosed, and how did you navigate through those emotions?
So for Lord, this is, I be trying to get out of this stage right here because I finally got to the point where I could tell my story without crying. So, when I listen to other people, it's like, Lord, you pushed right back. I just feel like, what Jane said, that having a support group about it is amazing, because it's so many people that have gone through this without any support. Like, what's Miss Florine? Is that your name?
Yes.
Yes, that's what you were saying, that some people were going through it silently, so silent battles. I got so much of that when I shared my story on Facebook. It was so many people inboxing me telling me about how they had either a HPV scare or they went through cervical cancer more than once by themselves. So I get that. I did have a lot of support as far as family. I have a big family. So my mom is 30 years older than me, and she went through breast cancer, and I was there for her the entire time that she had to go through radiation and taking her to her appointments, and the doctors telling her how resilient she was. And so when I got my diagnosis, I was kind of the same way with Jane. Like, this ain't happening to me. Like, it was my birthday month, and I was planning my birthday. So I wasn't trying to hear no cancer. I was like, okay, well, they gonna stop this bleeding, whatever this plug-in thing they gonna do. I was still planning my birthday. I was not trying to hear you about to be bedridden for the next 10 days. So it finally became clear to me on November 9th was my actual diagnosis, and my birthday is the 13th of November. So on the 9th, when they came and told me what my stage was, I felt like the whole building crashed on top of me, because it was like, before that, I was like, there's a okay, so we have the issue, we have a solution, because she laid out what the plan was going to be. But I was still bleeding at the time. So it was like, y'all done did this packing procedure. I've had to have transfusions, and I'm still bleeding. So to me, I didn't feel like very confident that they, even knew what they were doing, because y'all kept telling me I was going to stop bleeding, and I kept bleeding. My whole thing was traumatic after that, because to me, for women, it's normal to bleed. But the way that I was bleeding was not normal. And I had several people telling me that the way I was bleeding was normal. I had to talk to 5 different doctors before I finally got my diagnosis. And it took for me to have to record exactly how much I was bleeding for them to take me serious. So I've been advocating for myself from day one. So I definitely was in a state of shock. My trauma came afterwards, because I couldn't see blood, feel blood. Coming back to my house was hard, because sometimes I would wake up in a pool of blood. I would be sitting on the toilet just bleeding for 45 minutes straight. I had to wear diapers as well, pads. So yeah, at one point they were asking me, they don't understand how I was walking around and not passing out, because I had lost so much blood. My hemoglobin went all the way down to 4 at one point. So to hear people now say, I was in a fog. I definitely was. I really did have an outer body experience. I felt like I was on the outside watching somebody else go through it, like Jane said. Like, this ain't me going through it. Like, I don't know what's going on or who that person is going through it, but all of my trauma came afterwards, because during the time that I was going through it, I had tunnel vision. This is what we got to do. I got 5 more things left. I got this, and this is the next thing. What's the next step?
Mhm.
I did
Mhm.
have setbacks, because I swear in the hospital, that is the worst place to be when you're going through something like this. I just knew I gotta get out of here, because every time I got bad news, it was after my support was gone. If you're telling me in front of my family that everything is fine, this is her diagnosis, but this is the plan, and we're going to do this, and she's doing amazing. And after my family would leave, I would have somebody knocking on my door talking about end of life procedures. What do you mean? Like, I got to get out of here. Why are we talking
Yeah.
about end of life procedures if I'm okay? So,
Mm.
Right.
yeah, once I got home, is when the real work began. Um, so yeah, I had tunnel vision. Like, I got to get through this. It's all I got to get
Mhm.
through it. But afterwards, I had to seek a therapist, because it's traumatic. From the time that
Mm.
you're young, you're taught that that private part of your body is your private parts. Nobody is supposed to touch that most private part of you
Right.
unless you give them access. And I just feel like it's been so many people that have touched that part of me that is traumatic to this day.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Mm.
Whew. I know I'm trying to be the host here. This is just y'all taking me back 14, 15 years ago, and it's hard to relive this. But I thank you all so much for sharing your stories. I would love to know y'all know the questions that I have.
Mhm.
I knew we weren't going to get through all of them, but I wanted to put them there just in case we did get through quite a bit of them. So I want to look at lessons learned. Looking back from, diagnosis to today, because we've gone through treatment, we've had some ups and downs and different things like that. What do you wish someone had told you at the beginning of your cancer journey? And so I'm gonna go out of order. Gwen, what would you what do you wish someone told you at the beginning of your cancer journey?
So if someone would have told me beginning of my cancer journey is to not put so much, I think I have put so much energy into fighting and not living.
Mm.
Mm,
Mm.
that's good.
Whoa.
Jesus.
It have been about
Mm.
fighting, and I miss so much time living.
Mm,
Mm.
that's good. What about you, Miss Florine? Mm,
The truth about the total medical system, procedures, the good, the bad, the ugly.
mm,
They just they just give you a plan. They medical team that have been through college for this sit around a table. We're just the number to them. They take the plan and see what they can do to fight it. But then to tell you, okay, this is my plan. But for me to find out how harsh, what kind, the good, the bad, the ugly of the certain chemo drugs, the internal
mhm.
radiation, you have to learn it yourself. They
Right.
don't tell you. But also when you hit home, when you said the fighting and not living, we're still fighting and we're still not fully 100% living. But you know what? I've been 13 years since my journey started. This year, I decided to live, and because he
Mm,
didn't kill me, it is time for me to put myself on the front burner and live. And if they
mhm.
don't tell us the truth, we have to find out for ourselves and be able to face them, talk to them. And I might not know all of the medical terminologies. This is what I tell them. I might not know all the medical terminologies. I might not know everything you know. But you're going to talk to me. You're going to talk to me like a human being. And if you have a mother, you're going to talk to me just like you would talk to me with your mom. I have went through in the past a couple of years moving down here to Florida, 5 doctors. 5 doctors. You're not going to talk to me any kind of way. I'm not just a number and a push a piece of paper. And I want to know. And if you're not going to take me seriously about what I need for me, then you can't be my doctor. I went through 5 doctors and I just found one. Not only listened to me, and we made a pact last year. If I do what he asked me to do when it comes to my tests, and even if the test I don't want, which was one upper and lower colonoscopy, so he could look and talk to me and try to help me to live better, then I would find another one. I told him, but I'm tired of keep on going through a doctor. You go to another, like now I'm at Cleveland Clinic. It takes you a year to get a doctor's appointment, a year to this, a year to that. So now I'm in, and I can't keep going through this because I'm still carrying an adult diaper bag daily. Because if the food don't want to go, it's not going to stay, no matter what I eat, no matter how I try to be whole. But I thank you for that, because ladies, it's time for us to learn how to live. And Miss Jane, also for your sister-in-law, I think next door, it's time for us to forgive and just say, you know what? I don't understand that her explanation, but you know what? It's okay. Because when the shoe is on the other foot, when something happened to her, you want to give her 150% to let her see that we're strong together. We're strong together. This community is strong. And Miss Keesha, I think we do need another panel, because also we need to learn how to not only live, but health-wise, visions for us to do better as a community. What can we do? Next year, it's time for us to start planning what we're going to do, how we're going to come together, but also for us to help each other, for us to guide each other, for us to strengthen each other, because we need each other in this life. We do.
And I agree. We need each other, because I feel like these 15 years have been easier, not easy all the time. This young man that I spoke with this weekend, who's recently been visually impaired, he said, I don't call it hard or easy anymore. I just call it a challenge. It's just a challenge, something that I gotta learn how to navigate through. And I feel the same way. And we get to get through those challenges when we come together and not feel like we have to be at odds or in competition with each other, but working together. How can we heal together? How can we learn about our new bodies, because we got a new body after going through treatment? How can we do that together? How can we advocate together? How can we help save other people's lives by going out and getting this information out into our communities? Look at what Gwen and Lindsay did. They did it what? Together. They supported each other's events, and they did it together. I'm just like, when I met them, Lindsay did her cervical cancer health fair in the beginning of the month, was on the 6th. And then just this past Saturday on the 26th, right? 27th.
Yesterday.
Yes. Oh yeah, 27. Yesterday. They did it together with Gwen, and you know what I'm saying? Traveling, getting airplanes. Like, come on, where else we going?
Yes. What else we doing?
Together. Right, Miss Florine in Florida. Come on, we going to Florida.
Yeah, we already had people ask us to come to Florida. So we already have Florida on our agenda, and we have New Jersey on our agenda, and we have Virginia on our agenda, Alabama, Pennsylvania.
I mean, Texas, Tennessee.
Sisterhood.
Yeah, Tennessee.
Yes.
We are now, you know.
That's what's important. I thank y'all for sharing that. What about you, Lindsay? What do you wish someone had told you at the beginning of your cancer journey?
So mine is a little different because my oncology team was amazing, and I think for me they told me too much because like I said, I was in the hospital by myself getting this. For chemo, I had this different idea. Like you just when you hear chemo, you think your hair gonna fall out, you think you're gonna be nauseous. I had a whole different perception than what the patient navigator called to tell me about losing my hearing and intestines twisting, and I wasn't ready for that.
Mhm.
So I had to take a minute because she was telling me too much. I felt like, okay, y'all supposed to be trying to help, not add extra, symptom act. No. So but I do wish that the first gynecologist that I had, the one who just started writing a prescription for birth control when I went in there to tell him that I was bleeding, I wish that he would have taken the time to listen to me before he made a diagnosis, before he even saw me, checked me out, treated me. And I also wish after he learned what he thought, that he took the compassion to explain to me what was going on with my body. Because I
Mm,
already knew something was wrong with my body. I knew
mm,
that things that were happening was not supposed to be happening. I knew that it wasn't normal like they kept telling me. Normal was the word that they kept using. And the fact that he walked in and told me a diagnosis and walked out, there
Mhm.
was no compassion. And I
mm.
understand that they have to tell bad news to people on an everyday basis, and that's fine for them. But I'm not every day and everybody. So
Right.
for me, I needed you to tell me about why I got these chart results and how come you just walked in here and said I got cervical cancer and walked out and didn't explain to me what these results were.
Mm,
Yeah. And allow you to process through those results,
Right,
you know,
right,
because you have it's a form of grief. So y'all
right.
know when people a lot of people assume that grief is just when you lose someone. But
mm.
Right.
we've all
We
everybody
lost
y'all see
something.
on the
Yes.
screen, we've gone through grief in some way because
Yes.
Yes.
we've lost the essence of who we were based
Right.
Mhm.
on a
Right.
physical change in our bodies.
Yeah.
Right.
And then,
Right.
like Lindsay has said, you have all of these different people coming, touching your body in a place where we've been told, this is private. You don't let
Right.
anybody touch it. And
Hmm.
so and then you feel exposed because
Yeah.
something, a blanket is to cover that area, but you're having to constantly lift it, and
Right.
your legs
Yes.
are up in a
Yeah.
position that is not a position that you would
Right.
have for just anybody. You don't know
Right.
these people from Adam.
Right.
You don't know, where you don't know anything about these people, but
Right.
Yes.
yet they are there to care for you, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a vulnerable place that we allow ourselves to go through so that we could live.
Right.
Right. Right.
So, mm. Jane, what about you?
Oh,
This is so
well,
good. What do you wish someone told you at the beginning of your cancer journey?
I think it's kind of like what Lindsay said. It's more about what I didn't want to hear than what I did hear. Um, I had a great oncology team. I really did, and
Hmm.
I remember the head of my oncology team was actually the head of the GYN oncology at Levine Cancer in Charlotte,
Oh.
and he looked me in the eye and said, "You will get through this."
Mm,
And that made me feel so good at the time. But that whole idea of fighting, I don't like that vision at all because I was too sick, too tired to fight. And I just showed up. Well, somebody had to take me, but I just showed up where they told me to go. Just did do what you need to do.
right.
And I don't like that because in some way it implies that sometimes somebody fights hard. So if you fight harder, you'll be okay. But if you
Right.
don't fight hard enough, you won't be okay. Like I don't like that. So, I
Mm,
didn't want to hear, "Oh, you got to fight, you got to be strong." I wasn't strong at all. And I just it just wasn't it just wasn't on my radar to think about fighting, you know. But I did want to hear the truth about some things, but there were some things I didn't really want to hear the truth about. You know, I remember when they were talking about internal radiation, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. And I wanted to know what it was going to be like. And nobody really would tell me, oh, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. Well, the hell it wasn't. It was that bad.
Yes, it was.
You know, I know a lot of people go in and they'll do like the daily kind of thing. I was like, okay, they gave me a choice. You can either go in and do this daily for so often, or you can go in and do it all at one time. And I thought, if I don't go in and do it all at one time, I may not go back. So I just went in and had it done all at one time. And yes, it was horrible. It was one of the most horrible experiences I've ever had. But what I would tell myself, and I did this for myself, which is what I would tell, and I tell other women this, is that I would tell myself, okay, you can do this. You can do this for a short time. You just got to get through this. And I got really good at watching the clock and counting to just get through whatever it was that they were doing. I was like, okay, I can get through this. It's only going to be 10 minutes. I can get through this. I can get through this. And that's kind of how I did it, was just little moments at a time. But I don't know that it's hard to say what I wish someone had told me. What I really wish is that someone had told me, or I knew about this before the cancer diagnosis, right? Not after the cancer diagnosis, which is what I try to do today, is to help people with prevention so that they don't have to go through this, because it is traumatic. And it's not, you know, like you said, you know, you're exposed to the whole world. And, you know, then you get a group of students coming in and like, well, hello, boys and girls, like, welcome to whatever, you know, and
Right.
and you, I don't know, but
Wow.
yeah, I wish that someone had told me before, not what I could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many of you heard of cervical cancer prior to your diagnosis? Anybody?
I had.
Okay. Jane, anybody else heard of cervical cancer?
No. I always heard of breast cancer, prostate cancer in men, but I actually never heard cervical cancer. And some of the other cancers that they have now, I never heard of until I became part of the cancer diagnosed world.
Right.
I had, only because, you know, I always say how ironic it is when I first moved to North Carolina, and I've always been in the community as well. But when I first moved here, Teal Diva was actually the organization that I volunteered with. So every year I volunteered with Teal Diva, and I know they do ovarian, but they did ovarian and cervical. So I did know about it. I just didn't know much about HPV, so I didn't know much about the vaccine or what it entailed. But I had heard about cervical cancer before, but I never knew anyone that had it. So just volunteering with them and then becoming the person to have it is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. Since you mentioned that, we're gonna be wrapping up here in just a moment. I'm gonna ask about 3 questions, okay? And let's try to keep them short, because I want us to wrap it up. We are at the top of the 1 hour mark. So, are there any specific support groups in addition to Teal Diva? I know it's one of them. Any support groups, organizations, or individuals that played a significant role in your journey? Lindsay, since you were the last one, you can start us off. You mentioned Teal Diva. Did you have any other support groups or organizations or individuals that played a significant role? And this is for our topic on support systems.
Okay. So yes, I found Survivor. Pretty much after my treatment, I think, probably in my last stage of the treatments, which was brachytherapy. I think that's right around the time that I found out about Survivor. I just happened to type in cervical cancer support, and that was the first thing that popped up. So I started looking into their groups, and I joined the group, and then I was one of the people from their little. They have subgroups, and
Mhm.
one of them was Survivor Noor, and I joined that group, and I just been a part of that ever since I found them. So besides Teal Diva, both of those have been very intricate in being
Mhm.
a support.
So you plugged in. You plugged in once you
Yes,
were diagnosed. That's awesome. What about
yes.
you, Miss Florine?
I had found a lady in Philadelphia that was part of the National Cervical Cancer Coalition, and she helped me tremendously. She did. She helped me tremendously.
That's
And
awesome.
then coming on Facebook, there was a lady from, I think, Australia, the Till ladies, take early
Mhm.
action and live.
Oh
And then
yeah.
and then I got in with another group, a cervical cancer awareness group, that now have taken over the Till stigma as well, with Miss
Mm.
Loretta from California. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's awesome. What about you, Jane?
Well, I didn't know of any support groups at all when I was going through treatment.
Mm,
But then I found the National Cervical Cancer Coalition probably, I don't know, a couple of years after I had completed treatment and got involved with them. And of course, Teal Diva here in Charlotte is great, and Survivor is great. Um, so they are out there. I think that we just need to let other women know that are going through treatment, because like I didn't
Mhm.
know. Nobody
Right.
ever told me that there was a support group or anything.
And I
So
think back in the time when you and I went through it, there weren't really a lot
yeah,
of support
yeah,
because Survivor was Tamika and Friends, and it was probably only a few years old
yeah.
when I went through treatment, and I hadn't, I had to find it on Facebook, and
Mhm.
it was in another state, so it really wasn't,
Yeah,
I wasn't able to plug in like I wanted to.
right.
What
mm,
about you, Gwen?
The first group I found, it was a cervical cancer group. It was all women. It was on Facebook, all women. It was a all Black women that was going through cervical cancer.
Okay.
Group that I found on Facebook first. Then I found Survivor. That's how I found me and Lindsay met. And then it was just family and friends support.
mm,
And
mm.
then um, church and family and friends, classmates. And
No.
that
Mhm. That's awesome.
Can I
Yeah.
ask a question? Is Survivor from Tamika, who is cervical as well?
hmm
Oh,
Yeah, she
okay.
changed the name from Tamika and Friends to Survivor.
hmm
Yeah, few. I don't remember when, but it's been several years now. hmm
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because
it's
I
the same
did go to
organization.
one of her workshops that she had in Daytona Beach, but it was so imbalanced within the structure that it just wasn't a good place for me.
hmm
Uh and it was in Daytona. As a matter of fact, it just seemed like it was just off balance, some of the talks and the people,
hmm
and that was doing it. And so me and her still friends, and and we talk, and now she just adopted a child, right? 2 years ago.
hmm hmm
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I didn't
yeah,
know it was cervical, a survivor. Okay.
yeah. It's the same. It's the same organization.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's awesome to hear like us there's support out there. So if you're watching and you are not sure like you've been diagnosed, or you may have had a quote unquote scare. There's something abnormal with your cervix, and you're looking for support and resources. First of all, you have these ladies right here. I'm going to share their information, how you can get connected with them in just a moment. But there are organizations that may be near you or that can connect with you. And even some outside of the ones we've named, okay? Because some organizations are smaller organizations.
Mm-hmm.
They may not have been around as long, or maybe not have as much support. That's why we need your support, ladies and gentlemen, because there's work that needs to be done, but we can't do it all by ourselves. And so another a way for us to get the information out there is when we work together. And that's what I love about these ladies, because they ready to do the work together. So I really want to ask this question, then I got a little funny one at the end. Okay, so for future hopes and goals, what are your hopes for the future in terms of broader cervical cancer awareness and support? What would you say your hope for the future regarding cervical cancer? And I'm going to start with you, Miss Gwen.
My future plans and goals is to bring more awareness. Like yesterday when we was having a health fair, and they was asking Dr. Jan questions. There's a lot of informations in the brown and black community is they're not getting the information. A lot of them don't know about HPV. A lot of them don't know about the HPV vaccines for their kids because their doctors are not telling them. So we have to get that out there. We have to get that information out there. And yeah, that's me and Lindsay a goal that that's why we want to hit all these states to get that out there and have that relationship with the doctors and the health community, that hey, how can we have this conversation and have it with the communities, that we can like, hey, so we can have the conversation. So they know the importance of the shot, the vaccine. So like Miss Dian said, before this happened.
Before the preventative measures. Yes. So the vaccine, the vaccine, I know before I was diagnosed, like a year or so before, maybe 2 years before I was diagnosed, was when I first started hearing about it, barely, but I first started hearing about it on commercials on TV. And this vaccine is it's a preventative measure for some strands of the human papillomavirus, HPV. It does not cover all the strands of HPV, but it is a preventative measure for some of the strands of HPV that could turn into cervical cancer. And so there, you have this there for those who have not engaged in sexual intercourse, to prevent them, if they come in contact with HPV, where, it'll reduce their risk of getting cervical cancer. And so this is why you hear people advocating for it, because it just may save someone from having to go through what we've gone through. So definitely you want to ask your doctors about it. You want to ask them, am I eligible for the HPV vaccine? Is my child, my son and daughter? Because HPV could cause different types of cancers. It could cause vaginal, vulva, anal, throat cancers. And so, men could be a carrier of HPV, and potentially it could turn into throat cancer or anal cancer, depending on the interaction that they're engaged in. So it's not just for the young ladies, but also the
No.
men. So
Yeah.
there's more information coming out about this. There's new discoveries and all of that. So stay connected with us, the ladies here on the screen, so that you can get more information and learn more about the HPV, the human papillomavirus, the vaccine, and cervical cancer. All right, so
Keisha,
we
can,
have, yes,
do you mind if I speak to that for just a moment?
sure, go ahead, sis.
So the National Cervical Cancer Coalition, it really focuses a lot on the HPV vaccine and HPV in general. And my son and I, who is, well, he's an adult, he's 28, but when he went to college at the University of North Carolina in Charlotte, he did get the HPV vaccine. And he and I just recently went to Raleigh and did a series of videos for an organization there. It's a nationwide organization that is, it works with young men. And the purpose of the videos was to talk to them about the HPV vaccine and why they need it, the stigma, why they don't get it. And the vaccine specifically targets two strains of HPV, 16 and 18, which are the ones that do cause HPV related cancers. And there are 7 of those cancers that are caused by HPV. And throat cancer is now actually overtaking cervical cancer and is primarily being diagnosed in men. I don't know if you remember Michael Douglas he had throat cancer a few years ago. Oddly enough, it's a perfect opportunity to talk about it, but nobody did. So it's extremely important. The HPV vaccine is kind of thrown into some of the other vaccines that kids get with their pediatrician, and they don't really explain it to them. And so guys in particular don't really understand. They think that they should get the vaccine so that they won't give it to their girlfriends because they might get cervical cancer, but that's not what it is. Cervical cancer is the only cancer that is primarily caused by HPV, a virus, which can be eliminated with the vaccine. And in communities where they've given the vaccine predominantly, they have seen the rates specifically of cervical cancer almost completely eliminated. So when you're talking about awareness, we have to go beyond what, that throwing that vaccine in with all the other ones and not really telling them what it's for or why they're getting it.
Lindsay could talk on that because she experienced. I said Lindsay can talk on that because she experienced that same thing with her daughter.
Yeah, I mean it's just it's crazy. And so there's a lot of work to be done, but I think that the awareness really now, I know for the National Cervical Cancer Coalition we're starting to see that HPV piece is really important to really talk to communities and especially those minority communities that don't have the access that they need to even hear about those things. So when we can do that, then I think that we're going to see rates of cervical cancer, which unfortunately are on the rise.
Yep.
They have been in the past. So clearly there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So awareness and education is extremely important.
Yes, that's so true. We have one of our survivor sisters here watching. Hey, Christy. What's going on, Christy?
Yes,
thank you
Christy,
for joining us.
Right. Yep, absolutely. Yes, boys and girls. And that's amazing. Yep.
So she says, look at Scotland's results. 0 cases of cervical cancer after vaccine.
Yep.
And she also says HPV must be marked as cancer prevention for boys and girls.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
we need to call it a cancer prevention shot. Okay. And people need to understand boys too. This will
Right.
prevent you from getting cancer. So it is vitally important.
She says, hi, just got
Oh.
home. She was at the Survivor Summit in New York. So I'm glad for safe travels for
Awesome.
you. So
Yes. All of that.
I want you to Lindsay, real quick, if you could tell us about what you experienced with your daughter going to the doctor. She said yes. Going to the doctor and talking about the vaccine. Just tell
So
us about that.
yes, to all of that, Jane. That is the most important part. That's what we need to change the way that they are presenting it. Because, like you said, it's just thrown in with a bunch of other vaccines. So they kind of skim through it. Here you go. Here's the paper. They can get this. So it was presented to me as optional. When my daughter was 11, they told me that this is an optional vaccine that she can get and she'll need it for when she's sexually active. And at 11, you're not thinking about your children being sexually active. So, I asked them, was it something that she needed for school? They said no. I asked, my mom and previous older people like my aunts, my cousins, nobody had ever heard about HPV. So because they said it was optional, I opted out. I said when she's 18 and she makes that decision, or when she's an adult and she makes the decision to go go to that route, then she can make that decision for herself once she's sexually active. Because that was my thought. That's not. It was never presented as prevention for cancer. Because I think that's a different conversation than to say it's optional. Then it's recommended, strongly recommended that you get it for prevention. That's a totally different conversation that we definitely need to be having. And that's one of the reasons why at our health fair yesterday, when Dr. Jane presented and the other doctors from Harris Health also said the same thing, that we were telling them how important it is to have patient advocates on your panel, because nobody knows more than the patient. Like they, like you said, the doctors are just committed to curing or getting rid of a tumor or making sure their plan works for them, but nobody ever talks about why or how we got here. We shouldn't have to be here. It shouldn't be a plan, so it definitely should be something. That's one of the reasons why I decided to do that. Go into the communities, because there's nobody in our communities talking about it. Nobody.
Nobody.
Yeah, and my daughter's doctor, she was very consistent with convincing me that it was important for my daughter, and because I don't like vaccines. So what got it for me was remembering what I went through. I not want my daughter to go through that. So I eventually said, okay, go ahead and do it, because I'm like, I don't know what's in these vaccines. I don't know, what are you injecting into my child? But then I thought also, okay, well, what if this is the one thing that may save her and prevent her from going through what you went through, which was horrible. So Chrissy says Scotland results are just girls. I hope they will expand to boys. Yes. Keith says great information. Thank you. For even being here and joining us. Please share this video, because it may be something that someone could benefit from, or you might even save someone's life. So thank you again. So we have 3 more ladies to share what your hopes are for the future in terms of broader cervical cancer awareness. Miss Florine, what about you?
There's a lot that we have to have on our plate to try to broaden the community. But I like how Lindsay said that nobody's talking about it. So we have to be the voice for the community, for our world, for our areas, and to go out into other areas, the rural areas that they don't have a lot of health care. They don't have
Mhm.
a lot of medical places to go.
Mhm.
To try to not only to help them, but to talk to them and to teach them to learn how to put themselves on the front burner.
Mhm.
There is a lot of work for us to do as ladies that have been affected by this. And
Yes.
I'm so glad also, Jane, that you're here with us from the National Cervical Cancer Coalition. I have had the paperwork a couple of times, but I
Oh.
was moving from Philadelphia, and so I stayed with the other lady and worked with her, but I never did for this area that I am down here now. So I'm going to have to try to do that as well to put my voice back out there. You know, sometimes you get you get overwhelmed from, it seems like you're fighting a battle by yourself, but the
Mhm.
battle is not ours, it's the Lord, and he will make us strong. He will continue to help us and guide us, and we're a sisterhood, lady. We're a sisterhood. We're
Mhm.
all here together, talking and fighting and learning from each other. I am so proud of you, Miss Gwen, not only from your strokes to your heart attacks, but for you to still stand and to go out there and do what you have to do. Not only did you take care of your dad, but this you end up bringing that back to yourself. You know what you was telling your dad, you
Mhm.
start talking to yourself about. So I thank God for that, and I thank God for you as well, Miss Lindsay, for how you are doing and what you are doing, and even too, so many times, you know, they don't explain to us, but now I'm quite sure you're like, oh, start talking to your family members for the HPV vaccine. Everybody's going to get it. I know you. I don't even have to know you. You're going to get it too. You know,
You
so
get a vaccine. You get a vaccine. You get a vaccine.
y'all need a ride.
Right. I'm glad
Friday's
you
my
said
day. I'm
that.
going that way.
I know you're joking, right? You laughing about
No,
it, but
I'm not
sometimes
joking.
some people need a ride.
I know. And
No, I did. I have told people that. You need me to go with you to the doctor? Do you need me to stay on the phone while you at the doctor? Do you
yes,
need me to? Yes, let's get it.
Come
yes.
on.
We
You
got to
right.
do what we
Some
got to
people are
do.
scared to go to the doctor by themselves. Come on, we'll go with you.
Yes.
That's
Call us
cute.
on FaceTime so we can ask what we need to.
Right. That's good. Oh my
And you don't
gosh,
have
that
to
was so
talk.
good.
We'll talk for you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Like
What
that.
about you, Jane? What are your hopes for the future in terms of a broader cervical cancer awareness and support?
No cancer, no HPV cancer. That's what I want.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
We just and what I love that we can come together and that we don't just I remember my husband used to say things like, well, I don't know why you're still talking about all this stuff. You shouldn't be talking about it. You shouldn't be focusing on all that stuff anymore. Well,
Mhm.
I told him, I said, no, I have an obligation to
Mm.
talk about this because I survived.
Mm.
Mm.
There are women who don't survive. I have an obligation to help other women to not be in that situation. So,
Mm.
yeah, I'm going to continue to talk about it. And Lindsay, you said earlier that it's still hard for you to tell your story without crying. And I mean, it must have been like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, because I am a crybaby. Okay. Remember I told you I'm a crybaby. So, I mean, I used to cry and cry and cry. I couldn't even hardly tell my story because I was crying so much. But
Yeah.
it does get better. But oddly enough, I still get triggered by things. I was watching something the other night and there was a lot of blood loss, and it was so traumatic because, like you, Lindsay, that was extremely traumatic for me. And so, I still get triggered by those little things.
Mhm.
Mm.
And I don't, other people shouldn't be, we don't need that. Women don't need that.
Yeah. We
So
got enough on our plates.
that's
When you were
right.
talking about why you advocate, Chrissy said it's 100% Jane. Mm-hmm. Yep. What about you, Lindsay? What are your hopes for the future in terms of broader cervical cancer awareness and support?
So I definitely think that we are all walking in our purpose. Yesterday at our health fair, we had this young group come in and they were singing. So the song choice was Heal the World. And, it made everybody very emotional. But I said, this is exactly why we're doing what we're doing because it's for their future.
Mm,
And, so heal the world is definitely what we're trying to do. And it doesn't matter what race, color, sex, orientation, anything. Like we trying to heal the world. That's what we're doing. And also, so that's basically what I want to do. Each one teach one. You have to keep talking about it. We have to keep telling these stories. Dr. Jane, Jane, tell your husband we gonna keep on talking about it because that's what we need
That's
to.
right,
It's
girl.
not enough people talking about it.
That's right.
I also did another panel with a group of young ladies from Savannah State University, and I was really excited about the fact that it was almost 20 young women on that call taking the initiative to find out what was going on to teach the rest of their, the rest of their campus about cervical cancer. They held a rally, they did a walk, that was their
mhm,
focus for the month of January. And I was honored to be on that because young people is who we're doing this for. We're doing it so that the young people don't have to go through what we have gone through. And so that finally, maybe the next generation, maybe our grandkids won't ever have this. That, it won't be a issue because of all the work that we're doing today.
mhm. That is so good. Yeah, and that's my prayer too. That we don't have to go through this. We, we get to meet some amazing people, have some awesome life changing transformational experiences together. But can we, you know, one day say, cervical cancer no more? So I love that. Now I got a fun as we get ready to close. I really hope that we can do this again. I hope you ladies, we can come together and have this conversation again because, as you know, I have more questions. And I knew we weren't going to get through all of them tonight, but I wanted to do what we could as we get ready to close. If your cervix could talk.
Oh,
Now just imagine if you don't have one anymore, if it was surgically removed. Just go along with me, okay? If your cervix could talk, what do you think it would say to you after going through everything together? So, Jane, if your cervix
oh.
could talk, what do you think it would say to you after going through everything together?
Why did you do this to me? No. Um, what would it say? I think it would say you missed all the signs. You missed it. You just you didn't do what I needed you to do, and you missed it. I
Mm,
take full responsibility for what happened. So
mhm. Keith says, keep pushing, ladies. You're stronger than you realize. Wow. Thank you, Keith. Thank you so much.
thank you.
What about you, Miss Florine? If your service could talk, what do you think it would say to you after going through everything together? Oh, you're muted.
It can say a lot because we talk to ourselves a lot about what we could have done, should have done, didn't do, or how our life could have been way different. Had we know the prevention stages and or um, been better focused on our life and knowing the signs of cancer and do HPV and our partners. Um, it was really an eye opener for me because I started counting up because I was married and had boyfriend, and it's where keep your drawers on, ladies. Put that chastity belt that my grandma used to always talk about.
Thank you. Thank you. I really, I really want to take this question and go deeper one day. So, because there's some questions I want to ask from this question. But Lindsay, if your service could talk, what do you think it would say to you after going through everything together?
Well, I don't know about y'all. I told y'all that this is still super fresh for me. It ain't even been a full year. So my cervix is saying, honey, don't let nobody touch you. I'm still at the don't touch you stage. That's where I'm at. Everybody said keep this part private, keep it private. That's where I'm at. I'm still there.
Like,
I
don't
have
touch.
not gotten to don't touch me. That's what my cervix is saying. Don't let nobody else in there.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Don't let nobody else in.
That's it.
Yes. What about you, Gwen? If your service could talk, what do you think it would say to you after going through everything together?
My service is gone, so my service is probably saying free at last, free at last.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my gosh, that was a good one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That's the best one.
Uh,
Oh my gosh, that's a good
Oh my
one.
God.
You know, I was thinking about that. I was like, I wonder what someone would say if they didn't have their service anymore. What would their service be saying to them? That's a good one.
Yeah.
So, ladies, this has been phenomenal. I hope that you all have enjoyed hanging out with me today, um,
Mhm.
sharing your stories. Before we go, if you are watching again, we want you to share this. Share it out with your family, share it out with your friends, share it out with your homegirls and homeboys, because again,
That's
this
right.
could impact both men and women. Before we go, I'm going to go in order. Let's see. Miss Florine, she's an advocate and speaker. But I didn't ask you, and I apologize, how you would like for, if maybe on Facebook they can follow you that way. If they wanted to get in contact with you, if they're in Florida, how would you like for them to do that, Miss Florine?
Well, you can follow me on Facebook, and I do have a Facebook Win cervical cancer awareness page. It's not active, but I check in it. And it's funny because one of the groups that when I got cancer, I asked my daughter what should my name be for the group, and she said D Winner because my name is Dian, but Diane's going to win this battle. So and also in the
How do you spell it?
DI, capital DI, winning cervical cancer awareness. But also in the chat, let's put our information in and we can get it from there as well.
Yes, I'll make sure to put it in the chat also.
Okay.
So I'll have to find that link to winning
Okay.
cervical cancer. Is it cervical cancer awareness you said?
Cervical cancer awareness.
Okay. So I'll make sure to get that. And
Okay.
then Miss Gwen, she just came back. Hold on, let's see. Oops. Sorry, y'all. What happened? Okay. Well, I have your information, Lindsay. Okay. So okay. So I'm gonna put this in here, y'all, for Miss Florine. She also shared her email address. So if you are in Florida and you want to connect with her, you can do so here. 1 second. I don't know. Okay. If I can't get it, I will. If I can't get this to work, I'm going to have to put it in the chat afterwards. And Miss Gwen,
Hmm.
are you back? Okay.
Yeah, I accidentally hit the wrong button. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Ah, it's not doing it. Okay, let me see. So um, well, I didn't put phone numbers on there. Um, why is it not doing it? Oh, okay. Miss Diane, if you can spell out your email address for me.
F period DIAN period B at
Wait, a little bit.
gmail.com.
Oh, sorry, a little bit slower. F period.
F period DIAN period B at gmail.com.
F period DIAN period.
B at gmail.com.
B is in boy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, at gmail.com. Sorry, y'all. I didn't
Oh,
have
it's
it
okay. It's all good.
right. Um, okay. So there we go. All right, y'all. If you are in Florida, definitely connect with Miss Florine. There's her information right there. I'm gonna leave it on the screen for a moment
Okay,
so
thank
you
you.
can connect with Miss Florine. Uh-oh.
And Miss Jane, where are you located?
I'm in Charlotte.
Okay.
Am I upside down?
You
You're
are.
sideways.
Yeah, you're sideways.
Okay, I didn't notice that. Okay, sorry. Okay, all right, there we go. Technology.
And Miss Gwen, you're in Houston, Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
And Lindsay, where are you at, beautiful?
I'm in North Carolina as well.
What part of
Cherryville,
North
North
Carolina? Huh?
Cherryville.
Cherryville.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now next, Miss Gwen.
Yes, ma'am.
I have for you, for those of you who are in or around Texas, Houston, Texas. Oops, I didn't put it. 1 second. Okay, we have she's the CEO of the Ray L. Jackson Community Outreach
Roy.
Center.
Roy.
Roy.
R-O-Y.
Oh, I put Roy. Sorry.
It's
I
okay.
did the same thing over and over all the
I
time.
know. It's okay.
She had to always tell me it's not right.
My bad. I'm sorry. Okay, Roy L. Jackson Community Outreach Center. That's in memory of her dad. If you want to reach Gwen and learn more about the Roy L. Jackson Community Outreach Center and the awesome work that she's doing in the community, in the cancer community, that's her email address, rljcommunityoc@gmail.com. And she just had an event. I don't know if you have any other events coming up, Gwen, through the Roy L. Jackson Community Outreach Center.
Yes, me and Lindsay finna work on some more now.
Okay.
She
All right.
also
So
does an
it's in the
awesome
works.
backpack giveaway every year. So that's something that she does every year.
Awesome. Awesome. So we got the backpack, and that's something she does in the community for mothers, right?
Yes, I do backpack drive every year, and I do toy drive giveaway every year too.
Toy drive. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. And then Jane from the
Yes.
National Cervical Cancer Coalition of Charlotte. If you can tell us, here is her email address. Is drjfitch1@gmail.com. And so you can reach Jane that way. Also by going to the National Cervical Cancer Coalition website and searching for Charlotte, North Carolina. Do you have anything else coming up? Oh, you do. You
Well,
have.
I do, and I do have a Facebook page for the Cervical Cancer Coalition. Excuse me. If you email, or if you just email me, I can send you the link for that, because I can't remember
Oh,
off the
you
top
guys
of
send
my
me
head.
the link. Am I in that?
I don't think so, but I'll
Okay.
send you the link. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what I called it. So I'll
Okay.
send you the link, and
Okay.
and I'll let you know for sure what that is. Yeah, I have that event coming up on Tuesday night, and I'll send you the flyer. I'll send you guys a flyer for that as well.
Okay.
And if
And
anybody
it's
else
also
is
on the
listening,
Serenity Courage and Wisdom page.
yeah.
And so
And my page as well.
as well as Lindsay's page, which we'll talk about in just a second. Um, Gwen, do you have a Facebook page for the Roy L.
Yep.
Jackson? You do?
Yep.
Okay, so what I want to ask y'all to send me all the names of your Facebook groups so that I can put them out on the Serenity page as well.
Okay.
Okay, so we
Okay.
Okay.
can share it. All right, and so now Jane's event is this Tuesday. It's going to be through Zoom. And so you'll see the flyer, you'll see the link to the Zoom to get connected for an amazing video and conversation. Can you tell us a little bit about what we are going to experience on Tuesday?
Well, we're gonna watch the movie, which is, as I said earlier, is it's emotional, but it's very good, and it just kind of gives you a whole new perspective on cervical cancer in a different kind of community. And then we're going to have a discussion similar to what we're talking about today. So it'll in the movie, the video is only about 20 minutes, so I anticipate that the call will be maybe an hour.
Okay, awesome. And then we have Lindsay Gullatte-Lee, the CEO of Getting Good with Your Health. That's the name of her Facebook page, and her email address is Mrs. Legley to you. Did I say that right? At Gmail.
Legley.
Legley.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it right one day.
Yeah,
So,
leg is my initials, and Lee is my is my married name.
oh, got it. See, now I remember Legley. Okay.
Yes.
Do you have anything else coming up? I know you were working on some collaborations with Gwen.
Everybody. So yeah. I have been abundantly blessed and booked and busy. So today was this awesome conversation. Tomorrow I have a panel with Survivor at 7 o'clock. That's on Facebook Live. So I'll be sharing so you guys can check in, and we'll be talking about the diversity and inclusion and equity panel. And I am representing the Black community. So that will be tomorrow. On Tuesday is Jane's awesome conversation. I'm also, through Getting Good with Your Health, collecting items so that I can. That was the highlight of my trip to Houston. One of the highlights, besides doing the health fair, was going to drop off bags to the cancer center. So I am also doing that here in my community. So I'm collecting items for that, for donations. If anybody wanted to do that, I do have a flyer. I have it shared on my page as well. Um, and as I said, me and Gwen are already in high demand to come to different states. So right now we are working. Right now we gonna rest, okay? Because we gonna rest. We gonna
Yes.
rest, but we are planning to come to Florida. New Jersey is on the. It's we're planning New Jersey for September, so we're looking at, because that's gynecological month, awareness month.
Okay.
So we're trying to do New Jersey for September. And yeah, so we just want to put the rest of the states, we got to get together and do our calendar, but we're going to rest right now.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Needed. It's needed. You gotta
Yes.
refuel so that you could go back out and work away. And
Yes.
Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom, we are hosting facial health learning sessions. They've been going on all month long. Our last one was scheduled for this Tuesday live in person here if you are in or around the Monroe, North Carolina area, this Tuesday at noon. But I added another session for a virtual session. So that's coming up on Wednesday. Excuse me. Wednesday? Wait, your event is what day, Jane? Tuesday? Okay, so the 31st. Is that Wednesday?
It's Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday.
I had a brain fart. Okay, so Wednesday at 7 p.m. So for those of you who've missed the other learning sessions because they were in the afternoon and you were at work and you couldn't make it, well, definitely want to come to this one. It's virtual. It's at 7 p.m. and it's a high level overview about cervical cancer, about
Tell your dad to come here.
oh, hold on, mute your phones, ladies. So make sure that you check that out because this will be our last one for January. And this information you want to get out to as many women that you can. As we stated earlier, I can't remember who said it, but African American women, Black women are they die at a higher rate. Second, being Hispanic women than any other woman. Why not come and hear as much information that you can so you can go and pass that information out to your friends, your cousins, your aunt, your uncle, the ladies at the church, the ladies in the women's group that you are a part of. Come get the information for yourself, but as I always like to say, but don't keep it to yourself. Share it out because you never know who might need to hear it. You never know whose life you might change. So that information is also on Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom's page. Stay connected because I will be sharing the links and all of that stuff to these ladies, and I'll be sharing out the things that they have going on. And if you have questions, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat or send us an email so that we can respond to them. There's so much more. I'm going to be sharing with y'all, which we didn't get a chance to. What are some of the basic questions that a newly diagnosed cancer patient may want to ask? There's a list that I have here. I wanted to hear from the ladies, but we don't have time tonight. So I'm hoping that I can get them to do a part 2 with me so we can get through some more of these, maybe a part 3. Because I don't know. I've enjoyed this conversation with y'all. It has been very enlightening for me, learning about your stories and learning about how you have pushed through, how you have overcome some things, and how you are working through it even now, because life after cancer, trust and believe, is still a thing. We still going through some things even today, 13 and 15 years later. Okay. So with that being said, please stay connected, stay plugged in, and I look forward to seeing y'all again next time. Ladies, if you will stay behind for just a moment in the studio, and I'll see y'all later. Those of you who are watching, make sure you put #replay. All right, if you are watching the replay, thanks again. All right, bye. I'm gonna put y'all in the studio.